So let's see about upper limb. What are the bones? Clavicle, sternum, scapula. The arm bone is humerus. Forearm bone, laterally it is radius, medially ulna. It articulates with 8 carpal bones. Then we have 5 metacarpals and 14 phalanges, 2 in the thumb and 3 in each finger. First rib, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. 7 ribs are called as true ribs because they articulate directly with the sternum. So, how many bones are there? Totally out of 206 bones, upper limb has 64 bones, 32 in each limb. What are the bones? Clavicle, scapula, humerus, radius, ulna, 8 carpals, 5 metacarpals, and 14 phalanges. So this is pectoral region. Now what are the joints present in the upper limb? Here we can see between clavicle and sternum is sternoclavicular. Between clavicle and acromion process is acromioclavicular. Shoulder, elbow, wrist, intercarpal, carpometacarpal, and metacarpophalangeal. So the joints are sternoclavicular, acromioclavicular, and there is a cartilage between sternum and ribs. Then comes the shoulder joint, elbow joint, wrist joint, which is otherwise called radiocarpal joint because ulna do not takes part in the formation of wrist joint. Then we have intercarpal joints, carpometacarpal joint, metacarpophalangeal joint, interphalangeal joint, and between metacarpals we have intermetacarpal joints. So the important joints are shoulder, elbow, wrist. And coming to carpometacarpal joint, first carpometacarpal joint is important. So where is this first carpometacarpal joint? This is first metacarpal bone present in the thumb, which articulates with trapezium. So here we have 8 carpals from lateral to medial, scaphoid, lunate, triquetral, pisiform, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. So the trapezium articulating with the base of first metacarpal is first carpometacarpal joint. Now coming to the pectoral region. So here what is important that we should know. Very important I say here is mammary gland. We should know the muscles of pectoral region. There is a fascia called clavipectoral fascia. We should know the 2 muscles enclosed by clavipectoral fascia and the structures piercing the clavipectoral fascia. And here we have deltopectoral groove. So what are the muscles here? Pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, and subclavius. We should know about subclavian artery and axillary artery, which is present just behind the clavicle. So this is pectoralis major muscle, which takes origin from clavicle, from the sternum, which gets inserted into lateral lip of intertubercular sulcus. So this is pectoralis major. The minor takes origin from second, third, and fourth rib, which is inserted into coracoid process of scapula. So these are the 2 main major muscles present in the pectoral region. So this is mammary gland. Here in the 4th intercostal space is the nipple and areola, which is divided into 4 quadrants: upper outer, upper inner, lower outer, and lower inner. This upper outer quadrant sends a projection into the axilla called axillary tail of Spence through a foramen called foramen of Langer. And here is the location of artery. Subclavian artery continues as axillary artery. So the subclavian artery is divided into three parts by scalenus anterior muscle, and axillary artery is divided into three parts by pectoralis minor muscle. So this scalenus anterior divides subclavian artery, whereas the axillary artery is divided by pectoralis minor. Now what is the blood supply to the mammary gland? So from the first part and second part of axillary artery, then from the first part of subclavian artery. So what are the branches? This is internal thoracic artery, branch from first part of subclavian artery. This is superior thoracic from first part of axillary artery. And from the second part we have lateral thoracic artery and acromiothoracic artery. Then we have posterior intercostal arteries. Then perforating branches from internal thoracic artery. These are the blood supply to the mammary gland. The muscles which are present beneath the mammary gland is three muscles: pectoralis major, then external oblique abdominis medially, and serratus anterior laterally. So the gland is present on these three muscles. Now what is the structure of a gland? It contains skin, stroma and parenchyma. The features of the skin are it contains areola and nipple. So surrounding the areola we have sebaceous glands which gets prominent during pregnancy called Montgomery tubercles. Now regarding stroma and parenchyma, the gland contains lactiferous glands. There are approximately 15 to 20 glands which ends in lactiferous ducts. Before opening into the nipple, it forms a dilatation called lactiferous sinus. So these are glands, these are lactiferous sinus and lactiferous ducts, which are approximately 15 to 20. And just we have seen the blood supply: subclavian artery, axillary artery, divided into three parts by two muscles, branches from first part of subclavian and first and second part of axillary artery. So we should know about lymphatic drainage. 75% of the gland is drained by axillary nodes, then to supraclavicular. This is internal mammary nodes. Below the diaphragm is subdiaphragmatic nodes. So the upper outer quadrant mainly drains into axillary, two inner quadrants to internal mammary, the lower quadrants to subdiaphragmatic. In case of cancer, metastasis into ovaries is called Kuchenbach tumor. So this is a summary of mammary gland. And the next important topic is spaces on the back of shoulder called scapular spaces or scapular intermuscular spaces. So these spaces are formed by two vertical and two horizontal structures mainly. So let's draw scapula and humerus for understanding. The glenoid cavity, which articulates with the head of humerus. From the infrared glenoid tubercle, we have a muscle attachment called long head of triceps. And this horizontal structure is teres minor. and this is teres major, and these are the spaces in between these structures. So this is quadrangular space which is bounded on four sides above by teres minor. Along with teres minor we have capsule of the shoulder joint and subscapularis muscle, and below we have teres major. Medially we have long head of triceps, laterally surgical neck of humerus. Now what is the content of quadrangular space? The structure which winds around surgical neck of humerus is axillary nerve. Then we have one more structure called posterior circumflex humeral vessels. These are contents of quadrangular space. Now moving on to lower triangular space. It is bounded superiorly by teres major, medially by long head of triceps, and laterally by shaft of humerus. Here it is more related to the spiral groove present in the shaft. So the contents are radial nerve and prefrontal brachii vessels. Moving on to the third space called upper triangular space. So above by teres minor, below by teres major, and laterally by long head of triceps. And the contents are circumflex scapular vessels. Here in axilla, what all we should know? We should know about brachial plexus, axillary artery, axillary group of lymph nodes, and axillary vein. Now moving on to front of arm. So what are the muscles here in the front of arm? There are three muscles: coracobrachialis, biceps brachii, and brachialis. The nerve of front of arm is musculocutaneous nerve. It has two components, muscular and cutaneous. The muscular component supplies coracobrachialis, biceps, and brachialis. The cutaneous component is lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm. So we should know this musculocutaneous nerve pierces coracobrachialis muscle, and here we should know brachialis is also supplied by radial nerve. So it is an example of hybrid muscle. In front of elbow joint there is a fossa called cubital fossa. This fossa is homologous to popliteal fossa in the lower limb. So what are the boundaries of cubital fossa? Lower end of humerus, upper end of radius and ulna. From medial condyle of humerus is pronator teres, and laterally we have brachioradialis. Medial boundary of cubital fossa is pronator teres, laterally brachioradialis. Base of the fossa is formed by imaginary line joining two condyle and apex joining of two muscle. Floor is formed by brachialis and supinator. Roof is formed by skin, superficial fascia, and deep fascia. In superficial fascia, we have medial and lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm, cephalic vein, basilic vein. Both are joined by median cubital vein. And coming to the contents of cubital fossa, from medial to lateral, we have median nerve, brachial artery, biceps tendon, and radial nerve. That is superficial branch of radial nerve. So we can remember the mnemonic as MBBS. Median nerve, brachial artery, biceps tendon, and superficial branch of radial nerve. Now coming to the back of arm. Here in the back arm there is only one muscle called triceps brachii. It is named as triceps because it contains three heads. The three heads are long head, medial head and lateral head, which gets inserted into olecranon process of ulna. The nerve of posterior compartment of arm is radial nerve. So the triceps is supplied by radial nerve. So we have seen till arm. We can proceed with the next topics in the next video.